from us today.
Thank you. What's your name?
Rebecca.
And it's Unite here, Local 26?
Yep.
Do you have a website?
Local26.org.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Mark Lloyd. I'm the author of Prologue to a Farce, Communication and Democracy in America. Whenever I come into Cambridge, I watch the finest public access operation in the nation, CCTV. You should too.
Howdy folks, I'm Rex Craylor. Whenever I'm...
Hello, lovely Monday evening everyone. This is How Soon Is Now, a half hour where we talk about the great and not so great aspects of life with everything in between. My name is Alan and today I have my first guest, Anthony Pira. He's a photographer and tonight we're going to talk about his work in Harvard Square and the influence it's had on the community. Now, Anthony, I just want to start off by saying a few weeks ago I was walking through Harvard Square and on Palmer Street, and I saw a mural of kids, like fresh-faced kids, holding up signs that say, "I am brilliant, I am powerful," and the middle also says, "And I don't have a home." And I just want you to talk more about the mural and your experience making it. So what was the process behind it?
Well, I think originally what we were trying to do was accomplish drawing attention to youth homelessness, really trying to get the public to understand who is homeless and what society understands about homelessness. And taking those photographs was really powerful. So we really wanted society to understand the concept of homelessness, and that's what we were trying to do.
Okay, so you were also working with Youth on Fire, the organization that's a day shelter for the homeless youth. How was that, working with them?
It was amazing. Actually, the program is located in Harvard Square. It's located on Mass Avenue, 1555 Mass Avenue. And it's an amazing process working with them. Those kids are incredibly resilient. They're strong. And much like you said, those photographs really display some incredible images down there that all those kids are from Harvard Square. They all are down there, and they're just some amazing people.
So what inspired you to initially create the project?
Well, myself, I'm a MSW student who just graduated from Salem State University, and I was doing my first internship at National Association of Social Workers, where I was lobbying and advocating for what was then House Bill 3838. And my work was really to get legislators to understand and to get them
So
to...
for those at home, can you explain what House Bill 3838 is?
Sure. House Bill 3838 was a bill that was set up to help day shelters, and it was there to fund the day shelters that were out there, to get them access to funding, basically to help them exist and to continue supporting the day shelters that were out there. And what I was out doing through my role at the National Association of Social Workers was to lobby and to educate the legislators and to get them to help support it. So that was really what I was doing.
So what was the actual process in photographing the youth? Like, how did that come about?
Well, when I found out that we were not going to get the votes to fully support the bill and to get it passed into law before the session ended and my internship ended, I was told that there was budget deficits, and I wasn't ready to accept the budget deficits. I knew that in my lifetime that there was always going to be a budget deficit. And I knew that I had to do something to make a difference and to give back to my community. Knowing that I didn't have the money to fund this project, I knew that I had to make a difference in my community. And the only thing that I could readily do was to give back through my photography. And that's where I decided to start my project, which was titled Invisible Faces, and that's to go out and document the faces of homeless youth. And I knew that through the research that I had done through my Master's of Social Work program at Salem State University, that if I could take photographs of homeless youth, I could help educate society and better prepare them for who was homeless and make them understand that it's not what the stereotypes exist. And so that's where I started my project, and it was there in the marble-clad walls of the State House that I was propelled into action to begin photographing these kids, because I knew how beautiful they were, I knew how resilient they were, and I knew that I could make a difference by just photographing them and helping to display their images.
One thing that really struck me when I first saw the murals, that these are kids who look like, they look like I went to high school with them. They look like they can be my neighbors, and to know that they're homeless in Harvard Square is just kind of jarring. And was that your intention when making the mural, like just having that kind of image?
I think that when you look at these kids, that's one of the common comments that I get from them, is that everybody is amazed that they look just like us. And I think society has this opinion that homeless kids should be different, and in fact they're not. They're just like us. They are just homeless. That's the only difference. These kids are beautiful, they're strong, they're intelligent. I work with kids that have 4-year degrees, I work with kids that are veterans, I work with kids that have everything that you and I have. They just are homeless, they're without a house, and they're struggling to get by. One kid in particular has 3 jobs. I mean, it's amazing how resilient these kids are, and somehow they exist. The stories I hear have absolutely brought me to my knees on different days. I mean, it's amazing. You hear how strong they are, and yet society doesn't quite understand that. And so I really wanted to take these photographs to help them better understand homelessness.
And just to touch on that, what do you think it is about society that we do lose sight that there are, people that look like our sons and our daughters on the streets every day, and especially in an area of Harvard Square, arguably probably the most prestigious college in the country, and we have a problem like this existing?
Well, I think we see it so often that we become numb to it. We turn our backs to it, and we just continue to walk by without wanting to see it, or we continue to walk by and we're forced into this constant day-to-day routine where we don't pay attention to it. And it's when someone like myself as an artist puts up these photographs that we stop and we pay attention to it, and then we read the text and start to think to ourselves, wait a minute, there's something here. And I think that's when it starts to become real to us, is when we see all these images there and start to put it all together that these kids are homeless and there's something we can do.
Okay. So, you start the project, you're just one lone photographer at this point. Who do you start contacting to get the ball rolling on it?
The very first person that I contacted was Kelly Turley over at the Mass Coalition for Homelessness, and I wanted to reach out to them to first get their support and to explain what I wanted to do. Their Mass Coalition for Homelessness is an amazing agency. They oversee pretty much the legislative process and then overarching throughout the entire state of Massachusetts. And so once I had reached out to them, I then went out and started talking to different day shelters.
So can you explain to the people what exactly a day shelter is?
Yeah. It's a great question, actually, because a lot of people don't understand.
I wasn't too sure about it myself.
Yeah.
So.
So a day shelter differs from a night shelter in that when you're homeless, you go to a night shelter and you're able to check in like at 4:30 in the afternoon, and then you can sleep there, but then you have to get out very early in the morning. And so that's why we see people out on the streets. So the problem is that if there's no funding for the day shelters, then people are just out on the streets all day. And what's so great about the day shelters is that the day shelters help people for the day, and they give them 2 hot meals. They help them secure their belongings so that they can go to job interviews, they can go to medical appointments. They give them tea tickets so that they can go to appointments like get their mass health. They can go all sorts of places. And so without the day shelters, I feel like there's a critical element to the homeless population that is missing. And that's why this bill is so important for us to take care of. That's why I was so so passionate about advocating for this bill. I really felt like it was a piece of our legislation that we really needed to support.
So you get in contact with the coalition and then Youth on Fire. What about the actual step to getting your photos onto that wall on Palmer Street?
So I went and was meeting with the Youth on Fire group and started working with them and taking the photos. And that's when we were out there taking the photos of them, continue working with them. I had done a couple shoots. I had been back there a few times, and I was told that there was a third group that wanted to talk to us about possibly merging with us, and was interested in going forward and possibly doing an installation in Harvard Square, and they wanted to know if we were interested in moving forward. And so we talked, and that's how we came to putting the images up in Harvard Square.
All right. So it's safe to say that the youth that are featured on the mural, they're kind of famous in their own right now. Have you heard any stories about them kind of being approached about their kind of newfound recognition in Cambridge?
Yeah, so when we were putting up the first show, we had first exhibit, one of the people on the wall, Max, was recognized while the show was going up, and she was pointed out, and some lady recognized her in a different part of Harvard Square. She had put up her image on the wall and then came back, and the lady recognized her, couldn't believe she was homeless, and talked to her and was asking her, "Why are you homeless? I can't believe you're homeless." And Max had a whole conversation with her and was telling her her story about, "This is why I'm homeless." And the woman stopped and ended up giving her some money, and Max was so touched by it, she explained that she was going to go buy some tarps, because when we put up that first exhibit back in December, we had to hurry and do it because we were expecting a snowstorm that next couple of days. And so Max told her thank you very much. She was going to buy tarps to stay dry. She ran back to us and thanked us, and off she went to go buy tarps.
It's amazing.
It is. It makes you rethink your life, and this is why we do this project, is because it gives you a place to rethink your life, and it gives you a place to rethink what's important. When I take these photographs, I sit down and I ask these kids questions and talk to them. And one of the images, one of the people I was talking to before I started taking photographs, I had asked them, what's the difference between having a house and not having a house, and could they define it for me? And they had told me that if they could summarize it, the difference was it's the first thing you do in the morning and it's the last thing you do at night. And I just thought it was such a profound statement. It's just never left me. And I think about it when I wake up in the morning and when I go to bed at night, and I always wonder what Lori's doing at night, and I always wonder what she's doing in the morning, because it forever changes you. This project has always changed me as an artist and always changed me as a person. I don't think anybody who comes into contact with this could not be changed.
Right.
But
Just as somebody who witnesses the installation, I feel like I was changed somewhat,
Yeah.
at least more enlightened as to what the situation is.
right.
So I believe it was put up in early May, correct?
The second one was put up on May 4th.
May
correct?
4th. And what was like that day like?
That day was it was a really great day. It was a beautiful day out. We started the exhibit at 7 o'clock in the morning. This time we did almost double the images we did on the first exhibit. We did about 57 images this time, and the images this time I think they were stronger than before. This time we did the theme around I am, as you know, and we asked the kids to just write something that defines who they are. I am, and then something. And it's amazing. You see the signs, you see what they are. Of course, they didn't have to define, they didn't have to write a sign, they didn't have to write, you know, something. Some of them chose not to.
Right. Which it's funny, it does show it in the mural too. There are just some people who aren't holding anything, you know.
Right.
So it's definitely a reflection of.
But it's amazing. You read these signs and you see what they have defined about themselves, and it's amazing to see how they describe themselves. You know, they're enlightened, they're strong, they're, you know, it's amazing how these kids are defining themselves after everything they've been through in life. You know, they're able to still have this resiliency about them, and I think that that's just awesome. Yeah.
So if anyone out there watching this would like to call in and chime in on the conversation, either speak to Anthony or myself, you can definitely call in. The number should be at the bottom right of the screen. So where do we go from here? We have the installation, the impact. Like what are your future goals with that?
Well, currently the bill right now that's in the House is House Bill 135. So they can always contact their legislator and reach out about that and be vocal about it. And they can always go down to Harvard Square and see the exhibit as well. Youth on Fire is located at 1555 Mass Avenue. They're always looking for support. The one thing that is really important about this project is that I think it's important that people understand that this isn't about always donating money. It's also about remembering that you can donate time. You know, I started this project while I was a graduate student in school, and I didn't have the money to be able to fund the bill that was currently in the House. I started this because I knew that I had the talent to take a photograph, and this project isn't about the tallest flower, it's about the ground cover, and we've had